the raffle drawings that are about to begin. So if you didn't win some already, hopefully you have some good prizes coming up. So we'd like to thank the raffle sponsors. We have Elementor, I see all of you guys over there, WordPress VIP, Pressable, and WordPress.com, and Hostinger. So what we're going to do is each sponsor will come onto the stage, they will announce what they're giving away, they will announce the winner, and then if you are lucky enough to win, you will actually pick it up at the registration desk downstairs. So please do that. Please do not come up here. Just enjoy the rest of it, and then enjoy your prize at the end of it. Cool? All right. So first up, we have Elementor.
I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming of bigger things.
Hi, WordCamp US. This has been a great event. We love meeting whoever came to our booth, whoever came to our party, and we're excited to be able to share some fun prizes with you. So, we're going to be giving away a Meta Quest thingy. And second prize is a Ray-Ban AI glasses thingy. So, I'm going to call out numbers, and if you're here, please let me know. Because if you're not here, you don't win, and then I have to try again, all right? All right, here we go. Oops, second. Thanks, ChatGPT. We have a very sophisticated system here. 636. No, who won? Is it you? Keep giving her more and more things to do and say. So, if anyone deserves it, it's her. All right. That was, which prize am I giving you? I didn't say.
Oh yeah.
The second prize.
Okay.
Okay. I'll take you should do it that way anyways. Okay. First prize is 111. Silence, so cute. Is there someone? All right, amazing. We have our winners. Thank you, WordCamp US. See you at the next WordCamps. And have a great rest of your everything. Good night, goodbye.
Okay, and here to announce the next prize that I will take home. Let's give a big round of applause for WordPress VIP.
Hey everybody, thanks for hanging with us at the VIP lounge. We've got it in a fancy envelope here. We're giving away an away luggage branded WordPress VIP to Dick Muma from Racket Press. Awesome, congrats.
Enough now? Oh, there we go. All right, okay, and without further ado, WordPress.com.
Hi everybody, I'm Marjorie, I'm with WordPress.com. We also have an envelope, so give me a second to open it. And the winner of our AirPods Max is Heather Simpson of Circle City Web Design. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
And next up is Pressable. Woo!
Hi everybody, my name's Kevin from Pressable, and I'm here to announce two winners of two Theragun Pro Pluses. Another fancy envelope. We have Leah Corper and Melissa Norris. Congratulations, see you guys next year.
Okay, and lastly, we have Hostinger. but I will bring somebody else, so it's not me. Come on. Okay, so for hosting here, we're giving away a MacBook Air M4. Let's see who the winner is. And also, do like the others, please shout if you're here.
А, как они прикольно сделали, да?
It's shaking so much. Holly Wolf?
Холли! Это наша девушка выиграла. Обалдеть.
Right. Technical difficulties.
Ты представляешь? Класс.
Posting or branding up there, so I just asked them to take it down for a second. Okay, so thank you so much for everybody that joined into the raffle, and for those that won, I still feel low-key a little guilty about that, but I will accept the gift. So without further ado, let's have a good talk without wasting any more time, and let's welcome to the stage Mett Mallenweg.
Congratulations, that was so lucky. What are the chances? Howdy, everybody. My name is Mett Mallenweg. These are some of my, on Blue Sky or the web, you can find me at ma.tt, mac.blog, oof, we forgot a G there, and then Photomat on Tumblr, X, Instagram, etc., etc. Howdy, Portlands. It is good to be back. WordPress is so unique because we're not just a product, we're a movement. We're people who come together because we believe in something. Actually, we believe in a lot of things. Not always the same things, but some of the same things. We have basically we believe in democratizing publishing as one of our core movements. We have like the GPLs, like our constitution, the kind of fundamental document underlying the code that gives fundamental 4 freedoms to everyone. Freedom to use the software for any purpose, the freedom to see how the software works, freedom to modify it, and freedom to redistribute it as the 4 freedoms. But we also rise beyond just that document, and we kind of think about things in a positive some way. We think about ecosystems, we think about how we come together and what the results are on iterations of our actions. There is a little bit of an elephant in the room that's not just PHP, or Aaron Jordan's tattoo, which is also an awesome elephant if you haven't met Aaron Jordan yet. And that is last year, on this stage, I highlighted some ecosystem members, and it's kicked off a whole media thing and everything like that. I'm not going to talk about that today. So if you're looking for that, that's not what today's presentation is. The quick update is it's working its way through the legal system. We trust in the fairness of the courts. If there's any commentary, I'll just say that there was a settlement conference. I showed up, the other CEO did not. But it is working its way through that. And that's my only comment on that whole rigmarole. But it did get us kind of more press than we've ever had in a while. So that was interesting, being WordPress being the main character on the internet for a little while. People hopping on, making themselves, trying to get in the middle of it, everything like that. It was a pretty interesting process. And also since then, we've had 2 flagship events, so it's actually not the first time we're getting in front of y'all for this. We had an amazing WordCamp in Europe, in Basel, and in WordCamp Asia, which was in Manila. So who was at WordCamp Asia? Curious? Oh, nice. And how about Europe? Nice. That's really cool. Yeah, they were excellent. The organizers did an amazing job. And we actually have some announcements for Asia coming up at the end of this. So, there was a request, and we put out some questions like, what are some stats people want to hear, and sort of what are some things that happened since last year, since the last time we were here together in Portland? We made the stats so it was before the WordCamp after, because it hasn't been exactly a year. But one exciting thing that's actually been interesting, because there's been some questions like, is WordPress or traffic going down or something like that? It's actually, we've got traffic up over 10%, and new visitors up over almost 20% to WordPress.org. Across our socials, we added just about over 124,000 followers on our different social channels, and we're trying to get more active on social channels. We actually have some folks from TikTok who drove in from Seattle, so that's another channel we're going to keep working on. I met with some YouTubers earlier in the week. We want to be present, we want to be multimodal and just where the people are. So we can bring, the knowledge of WordPress and the ability and how to use WordPress, which is one of the most incredible skills you can have in your life, because it enables you to do so many other things, to everything. YouTube in particular, we basically almost tripled our YouTube subscribers, so good job to that team. Events are up 32%. We're finally getting over that post-COVID bump with a lot of new first-timers and organizers. Now, WordPress Campus Connect, you've probably heard about it a good amount during this conference, but basically this is the idea that now universities are running formal programs where they're doing, teachers are mentoring people, they're bringing people into WordPress. Some universities are going to make it a required element of getting certain degrees. Others are making it opt-in, but this is very, very exciting because we've never really had formal certification or been involved in education, and so this is spinning up all over the world. We've already had 570 students and 2 completed events, and there's 9 going on. So it is come along. Also an exciting thing for me is we've had some WordCamps starting to spring up in Africa. We've had 5 events in Uganda, 2 in Nigeria, and 1 coming up in Kenya there. Finally, plugins. When I got on stage last year, one of the things I did talk about was also how the plugin directory was in kind of a rough spot at that point. We had, I think, the queues were months long, 3 months long. There were hundreds and hundreds. I am proud to say that now we have over 60,000 plugins and 73,000 total plugins and themes. The plugin submissions have almost doubled year over year, yet the queue is now basically down to under a week. So there's a very, This has been one of the teams that is doing some of the best work across the whole .org ecosystem, both with the plugin work and the manual labor and the coaching people and mentoring and all the things and leveraging AI to automate a lot of things. It's been very cool. And so let's give, if you are on the plugins team, do you mind standing up really quick so we can give you a round of applause?
Over here.
There's a few kind of news things I want to talk about as well before we got to the Q&A. There's been a lot of launches over the past year. It's actually been a very, very exciting year. The good news is we were able to, although it took a lot of, honestly, time and energy in the beginning, all the stuff that started last WordCamp, we were able to get by and ship a lot of stuff and do a lot of stuff. So some things I want to show you. This is actually live in the Gutenberg experiment today. This is block comments. So this will be shipping in 6.9, a little preview here of part of phase 3 of Gutenberg, which is the collaboration part of Gutenberg. You can see we're adding comments right in line with our WordPress. It's attached to the users. You can go back and forth. This is also I'm very excited about. So we're going to be shipping in 6.9, and this is also an experiment, a command palette. So think of this as a keyboard shortcut. On Mac, you can press Command K. That allows you to hot jump throughout the whole, use shortcuts throughout the whole admin. So you can move between things very, very quickly. You can do actions. Think of it almost like a really quick command line for WordPress. The other thing is this uses the Abilities API, and this is going to be exposed to AI agents, which I'm going to talk about now because there's actually a non-WordPress thing that launched this year, which is actually a thing that gave me the biggest wow moment since I first used ChatGPT. And that is, who has tried one of the AI browsers out there? A couple people. Okay, next year I hope all the hands go up. So there's a few different versions of this. There's Playwright, there's Claude has got something in beta. Basically this idea where your AI controls your computer. The one I like the best so far is from Perplexity, and they basically took Chrome, forked it, and made this thing called Comment. And you can see a little bit of it in the screenshot there. Basically what it does is it's your browser. It has all your cookies. When you import from Chrome, it's really slick because it's got all the, you're logged into everything. your Gmail, your WordPress, your WordPress.org, everything like that. But you have this kind of persistent chatbot on the side that's actually pretty clever, and you can just ask it to do stuff. And that doesn't need to be an MCP server, that doesn't need to be anything specifically built for this. However, many of the investments in the way we've coded WordPress in the past, with semantic HTML, investments in accessibility and things, you can actually just go into Gutenberg or WP Admin or anything and just say, hey, move this block around and make the second paragraph wittier and add an image, and it just does it. So I find this very, very interesting. I spoke last year as well about how some of the more interesting AI paradigms are going to be where it becomes more local to you, has all the context of your logins, your contacts, your code, your everything like that. So we'll have AI embedded widgets embedded, but I think also this kind of like personal one that's going to operate more at like an OS or browser level is pretty darn cool and feels a little bit like the future. The other trick that's very neat about this is it's amazing for usability testing. So if you are building something, a product or a website, that's something I recommend you do is get one of these browsers and then go to your website and then ask it to do something that you want your customers to do and see if it can figure it out. It's very cool because it actually shows, by the way, it messes up sometimes too. It shows its thinking model though. You can look at what it's thinking as it goes. So you're actually getting the internal monologue of the AI as it tries to figure out how to use your website or app or something like that. Thankfully, they put a pause button when it starts to go off the rails. You can stop it. But I actually find this very useful to get instant usability testing because it's not dissimilar to a new person coming to your site or your application or whatever it is. You can call it anytime. And I think a big part of what's the next generation of application builders and the web is this next generation, and Danny Sullivan had talked about this in a really neat way, is also making whatever it is that you do legible to these AI agents. Actually, I was talking to Helen somewhere around here earlier, and do you mind if I share that awesome thing you said about if you think about this like a junior developer or a person, giving it the proper context, the context engineering, which is kind of like what term people are using now instead of prompt engineering, giving it the proper context, the rules, the setup, everything it needs to be able to onboard and accomplish the thing, whether you're putting that into a ticket or into sort of a cursor or rule or whatever it is, or on the website itself, is very similar to what you would do if you were onboarding a human. John Mehta talked about, if you saw that talk this morning, about how it's like a great junior developer. And these are interesting frameworks and sort of ways to think about these things. And I highly, highly encourage, I said learn AI deeply 3 years ago now, y'all to play with this, because I do believe it is going to be one of the dominant computing paradigms. I think it's going to happen in browsers first, both with kind of the smart agents, remote, and also there's actually some very cool local agent stuff, local LLM stuff, being able to start to ship in browsers. And then it'll move to operating systems, or maybe there'll be entirely new operating systems that just operate in this model entirely. I want to share a little bit of something that actually came out from just an hour or two of work at Contributor Day from the AI team, and Felix in particular. So what you're seeing here is this is actually leveraging some of the things the AI team has created to have OpenAI, etc., direct keys in there. And we've got this WordPress assistant. And if you look at what it just did, it said, give me some commentary on this post. And then chat showed it. Obviously this was a Contributor Day thing, so it needs some polish, but then we would use a command palette to go right over and share that comment there. So this sort of built-in assistant is something that is very, very easy to build today, using again the PHP client AI and the Abilities API that the AI team has created and published on GitHub. So please check that out if you're building anything. It's also been cool if you've walked around the sponsor booth. We've got a number of sponsors. I'm sure there's more than just these two, but I'll call out Element with Angie and then Hostinger with Cody are shipping some very cool agents that allow you to manage and automate things in WordPress. And this is so cool. We're definitely in the MS-DOS days, the early days of this. We need to see how people use this. I'm very, very curious to actually just watch a stream of what people type into this thing, what do they try to do, and do, as John Mehta talked about, the evals. See, okay, how are people imagining to use this? How's that evolving over time? And then what's the outcome? Is it figuring it out or not? And we can iterate on that, almost like unit tests or usability testing, again, for this new paradigm of computing. There's a little something as well that I wanted to soft launch here that Automatic is launching, and that is called Telex. So think of Telex like a V0 or a Lovable, but specific for WordPress and building Gutenberg blocks. So you can go to telex.automatic.ai right now and check it out. And you can actually type in some pretty rich functionality in there. I don't have it for the video, but someone actually asked it to make the Doom game. And it created that and put it in a Gutenberg block and then ran it inside a playground. It was a mind-blowing moment. So this is again, very beta, very experimental as we talk about. But what you get at the end of it is just a zip file that you can install as a plugin to any WordPress in the world, or a Playground instance or anything like that. So these things are pretty exciting. We gave access to this to one of our favorite experimenters with WordPress. Maybe you're familiar with Nick Hamsey, and he ended up making an advertisement for WordPress that was showing the block creation, and it made this animation of a WordPress ad. So as we're thinking about marketing WordPress, it was ultra meta. So this is WordPress AI making a Gutenberg block that is advertising WordPress that the video of is a WordPress ad. Did you get all that? This is so exciting. Like, when we think about democratized publishing, like embedded in that is very core to WordPress's mission, has been taking things that were difficult to do, that required knowledge of coding or anything else, and brought it, made it accessible to people, made it accessible in a radically open way, every language, at low cost, and open source, where you actually own it and have rights to it. And at every major transition, actually doing this has been quite controversial. It's funny because one of I'm a longer time contributor, as you might be aware. And actually one of the most formative experiences for me that was like a really huge fight in the WordPress community, hugely controversial, and we all got mad at each other and like we had to make up later, was bringing the original WYSIWYG to WordPress. So for those who are around, anyone use WordPress pre-WYSIWYG? The old timers in the room? Okay, we got a couple. we had a code editor, and a big part of WordPress's ethos at the time was that we were all about web standards, clean, compliant, and clean code. So people were really attached to the code, and we made the code thing pretty slick, actually. And we had these nice little buttons and things, and all WYSIWYG editors, we adopted TinyMC, but all of them generated like code that wasn't quite as clean as if you handcrafted it. So, but we made the commitment. We said, well, we want to radically make it more accessible. We don't want you to have to see markup if you're doing a link. Much like with the very origination of my contributions to open source, which is texturized. It's like, I don't want you to have to type an HTML entity to have a curly quote or something. So how can we automate this? How can we use technology to remove the barriers? And I see AI as very much like a new version of this. And it's controversial, and there's parts of it that, we're like, what are we doing here? And parts of it that are scary, and it's like, wait, it's totally a bubble, and there's tons of hype and everything. But at the core of it, there is a seed of something which is so enabling, it's so much, too very much why we exist, that it is an incredibly exciting time to be building for WordPress. And I think we have a real opportunity and to take this ethos and this thing that we've done that has democratized a good chunk of the web already, and use that to build on open source models, on local models, on everything, adopting whatever it is, to enable more people to express their creativity online, to have their idea, to get it out there. And particularly, Telex is, I think, an early, prototypical version of this, and some of the other AI stuff I've seen, but like coding on top of WordPress. So some of these vibe coding platforms have gotten a lot of usage and revenue and press and everything like that. And it's been kind of the obvious, first they laugh at you, then they make fun of you, then you win. And then like some of the early versions of this are maybe not great at like security. One of my favorite AI jokes right now is that the S in MCP stands for security. And this is fine, like yes, criticize it, like whatever, but like this is the worst it's ever gonna be. These things will be fixed, we'll work past it. It is something you have to be aware of if you're using some of these things now, that it might accidentally put like your OpenAI key into like JavaScript wherever we can see it, and that's not a good thing. So be aware of that. But I think it also opens an opportunity for, as AI models get better and better at building on existing frameworks, existing open source things, they can actually leverage things like the very robust and secure and mature, like user authentication system, content management system, all the things that taxonomy system in WordPress, like the things that are primitives, the things that we do really, really well, things that we've devoted now 22 years in relentless iteration and making all the edge cases work and making multi-byte and Unicode and all the random stuff work everywhere can be leveraged. And that, not having to have all that context, all that sort of framework, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to do the thing on top of it. That's the unique thing. And that's the beauty of open source and why it enables so much creativity and innovation around the world. So that is my thoughts on AI. We're going to get to questions in a minute, so we're not going to do them yet. But before we do, I did want to talk a little bit and play some nice sizzler reels about where we are going to be coming up. So we got a little announcement here for WordCamp Asia. April 9th to 11th. WordCamp Asia will be in India next year, and it is shaping up. The organizers are very confident. They're like, hey, our city WordCamps have like 2,000 people each. So they think like this move, WordCamp Asia could be perhaps the largest WordPress event ever in history, which I'm very much looking forward to. We will take lots and lots of selfies. And we do want to take a moment to announce the location of WordCamp US this year. There was a rumor going around it was Portland, which we love Portland, and we've really enjoyed it, but we do switch cities every 2 years. So here is where we're going to be. Congratulations to Phoenix for winning, where the next WordCamp US will be August 16th through 19th. Bring a hat, might be a little warm.
Понял, да? В августе поедем в Техас.
We're pretty hot anyway, so you know it'll be sizzling. Alrighty, well, with that out of the way, I wanted to open it up. So hopefully you've been thinking of questions already. We've got mics here that you can walk up to, kind of in the front here. They will shine a very, very bright light in your face. Don't feel bad, it'll look good on the video later. And yeah, I wanted to open this up to questions and answers. And also, if you want to tweet at me or tag me or anything like that, there's all my info. Let's also, just before we do, I just want to say thank you to everyone for the past year, because we went through a lot of tough stuff, but we got through some really awesome stuff, so thank you.
Matt, thanks for being here. It's great to see you. My name is Aaron Osmond. I'm the CEO of a company called Knowledge Pillars, and we're in the education space for WordPress. I'd love if you could just share a little bit more detail about your vision of Campus Connect and what your team is trying to accomplish, where you see it in the next 3 to 5 years, and how we can engage.
Ooh. Yeah, that QR code is up there briefly, but if you scan it, you'll go to the webpage that has a lot of this, and including how to get involved, there's Slack channels, everything like that. The vision is very much one of how do we give the best tools to the next generation to not write with a borrowed pen, to be able to build on open source so that this next 100 million websites that created, the next billions of people that come online and want to express themselves aren't just doing it on proprietary social networks where you're a digital sharecropper, or it could be lost. Gosh, there was just an announcement this week, the TypePad is shutting down, like these sorts of things. But actually have a domain that belongs to you, have code that belongs to you, that you can modify, you can see how it works, you can grow, and use that to onboard people and teach them. There's potentially going to be tens of thousands, maybe someday hundreds of thousands or more people going through this. And for some of them, what they'll learn is just how to use WordPress. But some percentage of that, just like there's a funnel for everything, was it Zaff's law? Like 90% of people read, 9% of people comment, and like 1% of people write. 90% of people will go through something, 9% might become like contributors in a casual way, and then 1% hopefully are going to be on stage in these future years, giving talks and teaching us, and we're learning from new generations and everything like that. So there's also, the beautiful thing about this as well, actually I was talking to Adam Zelli, who gave a great talk at Keynote yesterday. He was saying in medicine, there's this, what was it? Learn one, watch, do one, learn one, do one, teach one, right? Thank you. See one, do one, teach one in medicine. And I thought, wow, I hope I'm not the one in the middle there for someone to, but I do remember one of my best teachers was a guy named Scott Rowan, my economics teacher. We did this competition called the Fed Challenge. And my school was an arts school. We weren't known for our academics. This was the first academic thing that we'd ever done. And then the second year we actually won it. And one of his tricks was he would have us get in front of the small team, the class, and teach a whole section of this economics thing. And at the time, as a kid, one kid, I was like, oh, he's just being lazy. He doesn't want to do the work. But what I realized is that I knew I was going to be in front of my peers, and they're going to ask me questions, and I have to explain it and something like that. So I think there's going to be a huge benefit to the people going through this. I actually think there's going to be a huge benefit to the teachers as well, and the mentors, and all the teachers we train, and mentors we train through that, and that whole sort of fractal system there. Because it is one of the most rewarding things in life to share the gift of knowledge.
Well, we're behind you. Can't wait to see this go global. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Let's go over here.
Hey Matt, Michelle Frechette, independent contractor. And I don't know that everybody here is aware of the Open Horizons Scholarship that began for this event. And we had 6 different people from 5 different countries able to attend WordCamp US because of an automatic scholarship that's handled by the foundation. And so we had people who were able to be here in official capacities as organizers, speakers, and volunteers and experience a WordCamp outside of their home nation. I want to know what the future looks like for the Open Horizons Scholarship and how can people apply to be able to attend in future WordCamps?
That's a great question. And gosh, I remember, well actually, who remembers like the first time they took a trip? Or like had to get a passport for the first time or something like that? I didn't travel much outside of Houston for a long time. I remember that first trip was mind-blowing to me. And so I do think it is very special to be able to provide things like abilities for people who maybe haven't done it before or to travel halfway across the world. By the way, I love a lot of the people I've met have told me how many hours they traveled to get here. And I think the winner, or loser, was 33 hours from Nepal. Are you here? Does anyone have 33 hours beat? Okay, that's the winner. All right, you won this year. So what I'll say about this is actually, I'm going to make a meta comment about how we should think about all of our programs, which is, it's important that as we launch these things and we do them, the idea is good. I'm not going to argue against hey, we should give scholarships to people to be able to come to things. However, that is an input, not an outcome, right? So what I would love to do after this is actually survey those 6 people. What did you get out of it? What happens? And then also, what are we trying to, what is our goal with this? And how can we measure that? Is it that they later go on to organize other things in their local place, or that they become more active in the community? These are somewhat measurable things, but I think too often with our programs, it's a lot easier to measure that first part than it is to, one, decide what the actual end goal is, and then later follow up on it. So what I would say the future of this program is, what I hope the future of all of our programs is that we really define our hypothesis that we're trying to test by doing something, then measure it essentially, and iterate on it. Should we have 100 of these? We probably could. There's enough awesome companies in the WordPress ecosystem and everything like that. Gosh, there's like 13 other hosting companies besides Automatic that are sponsoring this. Like, we could definitely scale up this a bit. And what would that mean? What would we get out of that? How do we balance that with like bringing in local people and things like that? So yeah, you should think about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey Matt, Courtney Robertson, developer advocate at GoDaddy. First time you and I chatted was in 2009, and it was in New York. We were much younger. I won't say our ages. We were both much younger then.
16 years to be exact.
So in 2014, the likes of Courtney O, who's in the room, and Tracy Levesque welcomed me to the training team table at Contributor Day. And we know that Contributor Days, sessions are great, but Contributor Days are where really the action is at a WordCamp. And I got to see that you were at Contributor Day with us this year. And I know your schedule is probably not one that allows you to get to everything you would like to do. What got you to Contributor Day this year? What did you get from it? Will we see you at Contributor Days in the future?
I hope so. It is true. I do wear a lot of hats. I also run a 1,400 person company and like all these other things. Why do I love Contributor Day? Because as you said, exactly what you said, it's kind of like the core of everything we do. And when you're able to see that thrill of someone getting their first commit to their first props or first like change to the website, I think that's really fun. I also think it's a format. Part of why I wanted to go was like to see brainstorm a bit about like how's the format working. What are the outcomes from it? Are there other things?
So they may start restricting, hey, we don't want you visiting our website on Chrome or comment because it will send our data to whoever. So do you think that these closed source AI companies could actually start harming the open web and start kind of people trying to defend themselves with tools like Nightshade and other like endless garbage link holes to like poison these models? So do you think it will start an arms race on the open web that will hurt the open web?
It kind of has already, right? And so this is, I'm just going to riff for a little bit. I'll say that this is going to play out over the coming years. Some of it in the legal system, but also some of it in the international sort of dynamics, right? So there's obviously a lot of cases from copyright holders in the US who say their works were used without their permission or they shouldn't have been used at all. Or I think there was just a settlement from Anthropic with some book authors because they downloaded like a pirated books thing or something. So I think there's been a lot of carelessness with some of the early versions of this. By the way, that's not atypical. You remember when YouTube started? Maybe a little carelessness with some copywritten material, and it kind of worked itself out. And we've now gotten to a place, I would say, today, where yes, there's still piracy video sites and something like that. There's still BitTorrent or what's the one, Pirate Bay or something like that out there. But we've kind of found like a streaming regime and way that like some content providers make money, sometimes more money than they made before. It's radical accessibility, it's streaming, everything like that. The additional thing that I think is going to be interesting is that particularly the companies in China, and actually I think Japan actually passed a law around AI training that provides a lot of latitude, might not have some of the same copyright concerns for like US intellectual property owners and things like that. So that is going to be really interesting as well. But you nailed what I think is going to be the ultimate differentiators of this in your question. So a good thing to think about for how AI could play out is actually how the search engine wars played out. And for those who don't remember, kind of before Google, there were actually a bunch of search engines. Lycos, anyone remember Asking Jeeves? Excited Home, Magellan, Yahoo Search, like there are a bunch of different search engines. And they ran out of web. There's a finite amount of web, right? So they all kind of had the same web there. And there were maybe some differentiations around crawling. But at some point, besides innovations like PageRank or something, which dispersed pretty quickly throughout the different players, one of the sort of compounding effects was actually the use of search itself. So Danny Sullivan talked about some of the signals that they use in Google rankings. I'm pretty sure one of them that's maybe the most valuable is when they show links, what do you click on? And then when do you come back after that? So you can kind of infer like some satisfaction or something. And that's kind of proprietary to the search engine. So the amazing data that ChatGPT with 700 million monthly active users is getting is its own chats. So that's generating who knows how many billions or trillions of tokens all the time, and could become a sustainable competitive advantage. This is one reason as well why I think we're doing some cool AI stuff with Gravatar as well. By the way, if you haven't checked out Gravatar, Gravatar has been completely rebuilt, relaunched, so log in if you haven't recently. But I wonder if there could be something as well that, much like I don't want my music locked up in a single streaming service, or I kind of want some portability there, if there's a way to bring all the context of my previous chats, whatever that summary is, that sort of intelligence and personalization, can I port that between different agents as well? And I think this is going to be one of the most interesting kind of areas of innovation, particularly this year, is as the context windows get larger. What are we putting into it, and how are we porting that? One of my favorite things to do right now is kind of like look at these crazy like cursor Claude code setups. People have like 26 sub-agents, each with like really detailed instructions, and they're using it to using Claude code to manage other things in their life that aren't even code. They're using it with Obsidian, which I think Ian's doing, and there's some fun stuff from Palo. There's different ways to use these tools, and I kind of love it because these are, again, there are some parallels to perhaps training an assistant or like a person or someone on your team providing the instructions. But also this feels like there's going to be a version of this in the future that just goes with us. Right now, the only primitives we really have are kind of not great. On mobile devices, you get like a photo, you get easy access to like location, address book, photo library, like a few things, and some amazing apps have been built on top of that. But what if it could also bring along like more of your preferences, more of like your attention data, more of something like that? And we made that portable. That could make it a much more competitive, not one winner takes all kind of market, but actually kind of a multipolar environment.
So like if your iPhone would communicate with these AI or companies and bring your data with it, kind of like that.
Yeah, or just like you can export it, download it, and then summarize it, put it in kind of like something that turns into instructions or preferences, or there's some way to kind of distill it down into like what is fundamentally, probably all your previous chats is not that useful. That maybe it can infer things from those previous chats, run some operations on them, and then get distilled into an instruction. Like, he doesn't like it when I use M dashes. Or something like that. And that can then become something that is personalized. Sam Altman actually had a really interesting thing he said recently, was that the personalization is one of his favorite things about ChatGPT. And occasionally he logs in an incognito window and tries it out, and finds it not as compelling as an experience because it doesn't have the years that now he has of talking to this all the time. I thought that was a really interesting point. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Miles. I'm from Tempe, Arizona. My question is about WordCamp US next year. Have y'all been to Tempe in August?
I grew up in Houston. What's that funny Bane quote, like, you will not survive, and where they forced me, or something, yeah. So, it's okay, there's air conditioning.
Okay.
Слушайте, вы кто-нибудь из вас был в Фениксе в августе?
We're on a budget.
Там жара такая, что пиздец, не выжить.
But it will be very air conditioned indoors.
Он говорит, там будет
It's actually
кондиционер.
been very interesting to me. Does anyone know the sort of founders of Singapore, this guy Lee Kuan Yew? Yeah, very fascinating character. And the story of Singapore, I think, is one of the most interesting of kind of like the 20th century. But one of my favorite quotes of his is he's like, the most important thing I did, or paraphrase, the most important thing I did for productivity was we installed air conditioning in all the government buildings. Because Singapore actually has a climate, actually kind of like Houston. It's a little tropical there and very hot. And there's actually, you can look, and there's been tests for this for like students and things, that like you change the temperature in the room, like every 5 degrees or something, like how well people do on test changes. This is also part of my theory for why offices are always so frigid. But yeah, cooler is better, but we have air conditioning, so we'll use lots of that next year.
Hi Matt, Christina Hills. I've been teaching WordPress to beginners for the past 17 years. So I love it, and I love how there's a place for beginners and Fortune 500 companies. Anyway, my question's kind of a piggyback to his question. Is August 16th through 19th is Sunday and ending on a Wednesday, which is an odd time frame. Is that correct?
That is correct, I believe.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Because normally, you know, we end on a Friday, and so this is different. So
We've
I just
also
want to
done
make
it
sure it
over
wasn't a
before.
typo.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
So it is starting on a
I
Sunday.
think one thing we learned this year was this week is not a good one.
Okay.
Or, you know, whether it's back to school or Burning Man or whatever it is, this week had a lot of conflicts for a lot of people, and so we're going to try to avoid this particular one. But yeah, if you want to talk more about this, find Megan or some of the WordCamp US organizers. Finding a date and a venue and all the mix match of all of our additional requirements, which accumulate every year, is a little tricky. But yeah, Sunday to Wednesday, I guess. I actually didn't know that, but yeah, let's try it out. Thank you.
Hello, Matt. My question is regarding, for the past 22 years you've been building WordPress, for the past 20 years building Automatic. I think the level of commitment that you have with the company and the open source is amazing, you know, so many years on this. I would like to see how do you imagine the next 10 years of Automatic and WordPress.
The next 10 years. Well, one of the most interesting things for me, and one thing I've had a lot of success with, so like when younger people come ask me something, it's like, it's amazing the effect of compounding. And when you work on something, even just a little bit every single day, how that develops your context and your knowledge and your efficiency and your everything. And just the effects that you can have for working on something a very long period of time. You know, at various points in WordPress's history, I was like, okay, it's like a 10-year overnight success. You know, and if you study compounding, it can start very, 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 very small. But when you start to get into year 10, 20, 30, 40, the effects can be quite, quite large. And so I do study a lot of longer-term organizations and longer-term companies to see, like when you go to an Apple at like 50 years old or a Microsoft, what's allowing them to still be at the forefront of technology and innovation? What have they done? How have they passed the torch in culture? How do they leverage the wisdom of the longer tenured members and always bring in fresh people and not get too ossified in the way they did things previously? And every culture is different, and Automatic is a fairly unique one. WordPress is a fairly unique one actually as well. They're very related actually. They influence each other quite a bit. You know, being radically distributed, being you know, open source at our core, also being multi-product. So, you know, Automatic has most WordPress-centric products like Pressable and WordPress.com. I found a lot of fun for me as well has been working on the apps, like open sourcing Pocket Cast. So now there's an open source podcasting player. Day one, Tumblr, which someday we're going to get on WordPress. Not this year, but like someday we're going to switch those 500 million blogs to WordPress. And yeah, so I find a lot of fun in that. So if I think about my next 10 years, the things I am certain won't change, that speed of iteration is going to be really, really important. Customer centricity. I hope I'm still doing tech support. And I actually think I need to stay connected, and I learn so much every time I do. What I don't know what it's going to look like is how many people are at the company, how many AI agents are at the company, what is the technology landscape that we're building on? Is there some new computing paradigm, which you know, isn't VR, but maybe it's like an AR, or maybe it's a contact lens we wear, or maybe like what's the future APIs of the future? Is it MCP, or is it GraphQL, or is it something else? Or like, what is it that is going to happen? So I don't try to make predictions that far out for those things, but I do try to think like, what are the fundamental building blocks that we're putting in place today? And some of those are cultural, and some of those are product. So on the cultural side, it is the things I talked about before, of really working on communication, performance, accountability, energy management, staying with people also, like being with people through the ups and the downs and all the beautiful humanity that you experience the longer to have their opportunity to know each other. Then on the product side, it's things like our investment into Gutenberg, and particularly I'm excited about this collaboration and what that enables. And in a lot of ways, WP Admin feels very similar to what it was a few years ago, even though we've done literally thousands of upgrades. But when I think about that experience when someone logging into WP Admin and then like seeing the real-time cursor of someone else logged in, like that feels like pretty wow, amazing. And when I see things like these chatbots that can be built at a contributor day and other things, I'm like, wow, that's kind of pretty incredible. And if these things are starting to be more enabled by new APIs in the browser or new frontier models or whatever it is, like what can we create? So I'm very much looking forward to co-creating with all of y'all. So thank you.
But what we can do to make it happen? What do you recommend?
So the first thing is you have to get everyone to agree on where to put it. And wherever you choose and whatever date you choose, someone's not going to like it, by the way. But I will say that if you do it, I'll show up. And I bet a lot of people in this room will as well. And so, ladder it up. I know there's been some amazing events in South America, Central America, Spain. I know Latin America also spans a lot of things. So, start to boot it up. And I think, WordCamps are very fractal. It starts actually, I think, with meetups. And this idea of building that sort of monthly momentum of getting people together, building those relationships, learning from each other, practicing, learning, all those sorts of things. And then it ladders up, to regional events. Like WordCamp Canada this year is looking like a pretty amazing, flagship event. So, flagship, I think, is what you do with it. It's not like something that anyone bestows on it. It's like, how awesome was the event? That's how we should measure it. And whether that has a city name, or a country name, or a regional name, or whatever, let's just ladder it up. And I think India has actually done a great job of that. They have done so many, awesome city events that they were, I think, gonna do a really cool, eShop this year. So it's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so maybe the last question here. You're gonna bring us home?
I hope so. I'm going to lead us into next year.
Oh, please introduce yourself.
My name is Carol Stanlaw, and I am from Mesa, Arizona. I have been involved in leading the WordPress community in Arizona since 2011. And I have also been on the WordCamp Phoenix organizing team since that year. So I love Phoenix. I love WordCamps. I love WordCamps in Phoenix. We were so shocked when we saw that video. We did not have any idea, but we are ecstatic. And I guess it's just a request. We have an amazing community. Please use us because we want to welcome all of you to our great city. There's a lot to do there, even though it's going to be hot. So please take advantage of all that we have to offer you.
Great feedbacks for the events team, so please take that. What is one can't miss thing in Phoenix that you'd recommend for everyone to check out?
Oh my goodness. Where?
Besides the air conditioning.
In August is the hard thing.
Well, Phoenix, you all have Waymos, right?
We do have Waymos.
Who's taken a Waymo so far? This self-driving car? It will blow your minds. It is actually super incredible. When you're driving around and there's no one in the driver's seat, and it's actually a really good driver. So, what's something we can't miss? Food, thing?
I was going to say downtown Phoenix has so many wonderful night spots in artistic and culture. You go to Roosevelt Row. It's just an energetic and vibrant area. And the sun goes down and it's not humid, so it is definitely bearable when we don't have the sun on us. But we're very excited to welcome you all.
Oh, well, can't wait to be with you next year. Well, alrighty. I feel like that is a good place to wrap up. Thank you all. I just want to say that again. It is the greatest privilege of my life and a huge honor to be able to co-create with everyone here and to build something I think that we can all be quite proud of and quite excited about its future. So thank you. And now, See you next year.
No, don't go. Oh, you can stay too. I promise I'm only going to ask you to clap for like a good 5 minutes. But let's give some shout outs to everybody that put some hard work into everything. So first, let's give a round of applause for Matt for his incredible keynote. And now let's also take a moment to celebrate each and every single one of our speakers who shared their knowledge, their time, and their passion on stage this week. Thank you. All right. And next, we want to thank our sponsors. Their support keeps WordCamp accessible and welcoming. So let's give a shout out to our super admins, Bluehost, Jetpack, Pressable, Salesforce, Elementor, Hostinger, Woo, WordPress VIP, and WordPress.com. Okay, thank you. And finally, the biggest thank you goes to all of you all, the WordPress community, the conversations, the ideas, the friendships. You guys are the heartbeat of this event. It really does shine every past few days.
Вот, впечатляющие, и я вообще не ожидала, что настолько все круто и такое огромное сообщество. Следующий будет в 2026 году в США, в Фениксе. Это в Аризоне в августе. Вот, люди, которые живут в Аризоне, очень жутко переживают за это, потому что в августе там просто невероятно жаркая погода. Убедили, что будут кондиционеры. Окей, все, в следующий раз обязательно поедем в августе 26-го в Аризону. Это было потрясающе.
And of course at WordCamp US 2026 in super hot Phoenix. Sorry, while you guys are standing, if you are a volunteer and organizer and the production team, could you please come up to the stage where we'd like to take a picture here and also a last round of applause for you all.